Hey everybody. Hey everybody. Hey everybody. Welcome, welcome. If you're here, let us know. If you're here, say hi in the chat. I'm going to wait a minute or so before we get officially started while folks hopefully are popping on. Thank you if you're with us, if you're joining us. Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome to this live event. Live event. So say hi. We'd love to know who's joining us. Say hello in the chat. Love it. I love it. We got some hellos coming in. Everybody's checking in.
Hello, everybody.
Let us know where you are YouTubing in from and what brings you here. If you want to let us know in the chat, definitely let us know. I'm so glad that you've taken some time to be with us from all over. This is so, so awesome. I'm really excited. So I'm going to get us started so we can get this conversation going. Yes. So greetings. Welcome to another AAM program designed to help you become a more knowledgeable, effective, and outspoken advocate for the animals. That's why we're all here. We're here for the animals. Tonight, I'm here with Vegan Evan, and we're going to chat about many things related to animal liberation. But first, my name is Michelle Granberg. I'm your moderator. I'm a mentor and team member with Animal Activism Mentorship. AAM is a multinational program supporting seasoned as well as new fledgling activists. Our mission is to empower activists to reach their full potential and equip them with what they need, the resources, the tools, and the community they need to boldly participate in our global animal liberation movement. Founded in 2020, AAM offers a free 3-month mentorship program which pairs experienced activists with aspiring activists. Additionally, we offer free educational online programs like this one. We have a podcast called the Animal Liberation Hour. Check it out on our YouTube channel here. And we host large-scale in-person activism events around the country. If you're interested in applying to become a mentor or a mentee or want to get involved or to donate, please visit our website, animalactivismmentorship.com. And if anybody out there has a little experience with AAM, drop that in the chat as well. Let us know all the good experiences you have had and what brings you today. So, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to introduce Vegan Evan.
Yeah.
Can't imagine you don't know who he is already. And I get to ask Vegan Evan a bunch of questions, and then you guys get to ask Vegan Evan a bunch of questions. So have your questions ready, but hang on for a bit. And just a reminder to please keep your comments and questions respectful and on topic. All right, everybody agrees to that. So, hey, hi, Evan.
Hello.
Hello. Well, it is so good to see you. Is there
Yeah.
anything you'd like to say right away about yourself to introduce yourself?
Well, my name's Vegan Evan. I'm 13 years old now, but I went vegan over 8 years ago when I was 5. And I'm the world's youngest certified vegan lifestyle coach and educator, and the only minor in the world to hold the title. And I'm just really excited to be here and happy to help people understand more about what's happening to the innocent animals that we share this planet with. So I'm happy to be here.
I love that. I love that message right off. So, Evan, I know you do a ton of activism, a lot, all the time with your family, with activists local to where you are. So, what keeps you going? Do you ever get burned out or tired when it comes to activism, or is activism the thing that energizes you the most?
Well, I feel like a lot of the time it depends. I feel like everyone needs some time to relax every once in a while at least because we're fighting for the animals and fighting for a good cause, but we still need to worry about ourselves so we can be there to fight for that good cause. So I feel like occasionally, yeah, if we do a lot of activism in a row or go on a tour, I might be burnt out a little bit, but I feel like because of the animals that I'm fighting for and that I know what I'm fighting for and I'm passionate about it, I feel like I am energized doing the activism. And especially some activism, I feel like is more energizing than other activism, like open rescue or not open rescues, but rescues. Like if we get to save an animal, they get relinquished to us, or if disruptions, it's just some activism that you can really get pumped about. Those keep you energized.
Yeah, yeah. Thank goodness there's such a variety. There's so many ways to do activism, and I know you participate in so many of those, and some are more lively than others.
Yeah.
But I mean, we could
Also,
talk about that a lot. So then, what if someone who's listening right now, watching you right now, is like, first of all, they're like super impressed that you've been doing activism since you were 5, okay? But you have a lot to offer. You have a lot of experience in your and wisdom in your years. So what tips would you give a new activist who's listening?
well, I feel like when you're a new activist, you can be really angry, you can be really upset, but you got to remember that we have to be there at like as well as we can. We have to be all there just so people can understand, especially if we're doing outreach. We have to be reasonable and rational. And I feel like another thing, if you want to get more information, if you're doing outreach, doing something maybe like a cube or whatever, you can stand in, you can listen to people having conversations. So that's a really good way for new activists to learn a lot of information, get some pointers, because you get to sit there and just watch. But
So yeah.
always research, watch stuff, just try to learn more because if someone asks you something, you want to be able to answer them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to be able to answer them thoughtfully and with some facts,
Yeah.
right? And with some evidence, right? I think you're really, I've heard you like speak about so many different topics, and I feel like I wish I had the encyclopedic sort of mind that you have a little bit and way of explaining things, you know. So when it comes to outreach, then I don't know, what do you find the most challenging thing is about? First of all, tell us what outreach is. Maybe folks don't really know. What is outreach, and what for you is the easiest part of outreach, or maybe the most challenging part of outreach conversations?
Well, I feel like, all right, so outreach is kind of, you can be outreaching a group, but mainly it's just one on one interactions with people. You get them to think at least. They're not always gonna, they're normally not gonna like say, oh, I'm going vegan right there, but you're planting seeds in their head. They have
Hmm.
questions, you answer their questions, tell them some facts, and just get them thinking. And outreach is very important because a lot of activists that I know wouldn't be doing activism if they hadn't been outreached by someone. So outreaching is great. I feel like it's important to know your facts, like I said, because that's the easiest is when someone asks you something and you're confident and you already know the answer. It looks great, it sounds great, and you feel great saying it and trying to help people. And sometimes there will be trolls. That's probably the most challenging part. If you're telling someone and they're just there trying to waste your time, and there are people like that, but there are a lot of really good interactions. So you don't want to let that deter you.
I love that. That's such a great reminder. And I think you're a good example of that, Evs. Like just having a thick skin, not taking things personally, and we have to control our emotions because we are very angry on the inside or very upset on the inside of what because of what's happening to the animals, but you got to keep it cool, right?
Mm.
And that's how people will listen. So sometimes activism can get kind of a little chaotic sometimes, right? So
Yeah.
what in your mind, you've done so much activism, stands out that you might want to share about a memorable moment doing activism, or an intense moment, or maybe a moment when you found like you were really winning, like we really were being successful and effective.
I feel like one of my favorite, like I've done plenty of cool activism, gotten to help plenty of animals, and it's also amazing. Just even converting one person to veganism, you're saving how many lives? It's great, but I feel like one of the most memorable moments is one of the most recent ones, at least. was we were in Orlando doing foie gras protests because if you don't know what foie gras is, it's fat and duck liver,
Yeah.
and they stick a tube, normally a metal tube, down their throat multiple times a day to force feed them until they're just a few weeks old, and by then they have fatty liver disease,
Yeah.
and then they kill them and people eat that. But anyways, we were protesting, trying to get some restaurants to drop that, some higher end restaurants have some disgusting stuff. It's crazy. But the one place we showed up there and they said they're dropping it right then and right there because it was our first time protesting those places, but they'd been doing it for a while. And there was another place selling foie gras right near there, just down the street. And we went there and they dropped too. So that was really cool, really energizing. It wasn't that chaotic, I wouldn't say.
That's
But
okay. It's
that,
good.
that was a very memorable moment. There's been some chaotic ones too, especially when we're going to places like into fur stores or into restaurants and we do disruptions with megaphones and signs. Sometimes that annoys people, but that's kind of the point.
Yeah. 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 We don't want new folks to think that it's always chaotic. It's pretty, it's
No,
more
it's not.
it's the
It's more,
exception
yeah,
more than the rule. It's not, but it can, but it's
yeah,
still organized and peaceful. That's what we
yeah.
want people to know, right, Ev? We're there. They're
We always,
peaceful demonstrations.
whenever we do a disruption, we always say we come with a message of peace, compassion, and nonviolence towards all.
Yes.
Just to let people know, because we're not violent. We're not trying to hurt anybody or anything. We're just trying to stick up for the most innocent beings
Right.
amongst us.
Yes. We always lead with that. We always lead with that because people may see folks with megaphones and chanting and they're like, what is happening? So we want to remind people that we are embodying the ideology that we have for the animals, which we want nonviolence for them. And we're also expressing that with people as well. So we're getting some, I'm going to ask you one more question, then I'm going to go to some of the questions in the chat here, but before, and then I'll come back to my questions because I get to ask them. But rescues. So you mentioned animal rescues, which is part of activism, being the person that, gets animals to safety, that negotiates surrenders, that facilitates a safe forever home for animals. I know you've been involved in a bunch of those. Is there any rescue that you love all of them, but is there a rescue that really stands out in your mind that makes your heart feel so good, or you and your family have gotten an animal to safety?
I remember in Utah, I think there was 100 turkeys released
Yeah.
to us. I think it was on the Animal Liberation Conference or something like that. And we got to carry some of those turkeys out, me and my mom did, and bring them to get brought to safety. So that was great. But plenty of times when we've been at slaughterhouses or seen trucks or whatever, we talk to the people. We say, can you just surrender just one animal and explain to them how they want to live just like us, just one life. And a lot of the time that's been successful. We've saved all sorts of animals that way. Sometimes you'll find animals loose near places like slaughterhouses or whatever, but normally we talk to the people and whatever, we're saving lives. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Any day we can rescue is a good day.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the things that is just the most direct, immediate impact. You save a life right then and there.
I
It's
mean, we get
amazing.
calls all the time from people who are maybe gonna like kill an animal that's on their property or something if they can't get rid of them,
Mm.
or someone who sees a situation and they've talked to the people and they say, yeah, you can take them, but they need help transporting them. So there's always opportunities to rescue animals. You just need to get into some groups near you, and I'm sure that you'll find some.
Yeah, that's good advice, right? And it's always safety first, right? Even with rescue
Yeah.
situations, you want to make sure you're staying within the law, not going on private property, and keeping yourself as safe as we want the animals to be as well.
Yeah.
So all that is really good. And speaking of that, Yogi Sin over on YouTube says it was an honor rescuing Roxy and Melody with you guys.
Yeah,
Who was
yeah.
Roxy and Melody? Were they chickens? Were they roost? Who were
They,
they? Bunnies?
Roxy and Melanie were dogs,
Oh,
actually.
right, recently, right?
Yeah, we were in a van and we were driving and we saw this place and it just kind of looked like a, a breaking down trailer and a junkyard in this person's front yard and beer cans all over the ground, just crushed beer cans as far as the eye could see. And then there's these dogs. And we didn't get to rescue all the dogs. There were two that were on chains that he said that we couldn't take. There was this one really old one that we were going to try to save, but they ran off into the woods. Think that we still have some people trying to help with that dog. And then Roxy and Melanie were the two little puppies, not that little, but they're pretty small and they were so cute. And we got to rescue them just by talking to the person. He let us and he helped us too. So that was great.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So CDA Activism is asking, do you have a YouTube channel?
I do have a YouTube channel, Vegan Evan. I don't post too frequently on there.
Mhm.
So Instagram would probably be better. I'm not the best at posting our activism or anything very frequently, but Instagram would be the best. It's Vegan Evan on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
Somebody was asking how old you are. I think you said you're 13.
Yes, I'm 13 now.
Yes. So, yeah, let's see. Let's talk about dairy a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to say about that, especially for folks who aren't familiar with dairy. I know that that's something that you fight really, really hard for. I mean, we're fighting for every form of exploitation, but we always say there's something about dairy that is just, cruelest of the cruel, what happens in the dairy industry. So what kinds of things do you participate in that you think are effective, which, people say that dairy's too big to tumble. What do you think? Yes, no, what do you do?
Um, I mean, I don't think any of it is too big to tumble.
Good.
And even if we talk to just single like people one-on-one conversations, you know what I mean? Even getting them to stop just using dairy and eating dairy and drinking dairy. It's a big thing because, well, here, let's just start from the beginning. So, in the dairy industry, mother cows are forcibly impregnated 4 to 5 times throughout their lifetime normally. And within 24 to 48 hours of the baby being born, they're ripped away from their mothers. Humans can steal the mother cow's breast milk. Just like any other mammal, they have to have a baby to produce milk. They don't just eat grass and make milk. And they're taken away. And if the baby is a boy and there's no market for veal, then they might be thrown in a pit or shot in the head, something like that. But if there is a market for veal, they'll be raised for about 3 months to become veal. And if the baby's a girl, they have to do exactly what their mother did. And then once they can't make babies anymore and they can't produce any more milk, they're deemed spent dairy cows. And they're normally picked up by like a tractor or forklift or something of the sort and turned into ground beef. And over 90% of ground beef in America is spent dairy cows, not like steaks or what would be considered higher grade, but like Burger King, McDonald's, all that stuff. It's spent dairy cows. It's just abused mothers.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Yeah. Yeah. It's ripping families apart. The mother cows bellow and cry out for their babies, and they're never the same. They are shells of themselves, the mother cows in the dairy industry. I mean, it's just, but to hear you speak of it so clearly and so knowledgeably is really important for people, to hear so that people who doubt or question this and say there's something humane about the dairy industry, you know, we want them to what? We want them to Google it. Don't believe us. You don't have to Google it for yourself. Do your research. So Serenity and Trina are with us. Hi, Serenity and Trina. So we want to say hi, talk about vegan kids. Let's talk about that a bit, Ev, because you're such an inspiration to people your age and younger. And I know your age comes up a lot. I guess people are so astounded by how young you started. I don't know if you get tired of people talking about your age. I might understand that, are you okay with that? And I don't know how much longer they'll be doing that, but what have you encountered with kids? Do you talk to kids a lot about going vegan and getting involved and fighting for the animals? Are they more open? How can we reach more kids and their parents? What do you think?
Well, it seems like when I'm talking to other kids, a lot of the time they are open-minded because they've been not desensitized for as long of a time. It's like for example, someone around my grandpa's age, like 70s, 80s, their whole life they've been doing this, which has been quite a long time, right? So it's more ingrained into them. But kids, they see an animal and they think, oh, don't want to hurt the animal. But still, a lot of the time, they can be stubborn. And especially like if their parents won't let them, or if their mom or dad says, oh, no, about the vegan stuff. I don't know how to really explain it, but it just seems like kids are more open in general to the idea of going vegan. But it's sad a lot of the time because they want to and they can't because they don't pay for their own food and they don't cook their own food. So they kind of have to do whatever their parents say. But I think it's important that they talk to their parents about it, maybe have them sit down and watch a documentary like What the Health, Game Changers, Cowspiracy. It all depends on the people as well, what documentary you're going to watch, because different ones are geared towards different people.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I know sometimes there's a lot of criticism out there directed at parents, and people say you're forcing your kid to go vegan. You're forcing that on them. What do I know that your mom addresses that, but how do you address that? What do you say?
So
You say, I
personally,
chose
for me,
this.
I wasn't born and raised vegan or vegetarian like a lot of people think I was. My mom has been vegetarian since she was 9 because her cousin, who she thought was really cool, came home on Thanksgiving one year and dared my mom not to eat any meat for Thanksgiving dinner. So she still got to have all the sides. And because her cousin was already vegan, there was vegan sausages and stuff that my great grandma had made with the old Jimmy Lean or whatever vegan sausage. So that's really cool. But then that night, she popped in a VCR and my mom watched it, and it was similar to what Earthlings is like, or Dominion, I guess. So my mom's been vegetarian since she was 9, and she always told me that she gave me a choice, but she always told me that they were a cow or a pig or a chicken and that they wanted to live. Because I think it's important that kids know and understand that who they're eating. So she always told me, and I understood. So I rarely ever ate meat when I was with my mom. And then when I was 4, I thought it was a good idea to go pesco, lacto, ovo vegetarian, which means I ate dairy, eggs, and fish, but no land animals. And then we read some studies together and found out that fish had families, friends, and feelings too, just like the other animals that I didn't want to eat because they had families, friends, and feelings. So I stopped eating all animals, but I was still eating dairy. And I might not have been eating eggs at that point. And so that was good. I stopped eating all the animals. And then someone at my mom's work told her that she was supporting things like rape and kidnapping by eating and drinking dairy. She put cheese in on everything, which pretty intense thing to hear when you say that you love animals all the time, but it's the truth if you're supporting the dairy industry. So she looked it up and she found out some stuff. And while I was asleep, she watched, I think it was Cowspiracy. Yeah, Cowspiracy. And on the way to school in the morning, she told me that she was going to try being vegan. And I said, well, I want to as well. I knew what it was already. I've seen videos that she was watching or whatever, just watching them. She wasn't watching them with me, but I saw them. And I said, I want to as well. And she said, I don't think that's a good idea. You can't have cupcakes, you can't have pizza, you can't have all these things, and you're gonna miss out on birthday parties at school and cake and all sorts of stuff. And I said, I don't care if the animals are being hurt and I don't need it, I don't want it. So we've been vegan ever since, and that was like just after I was turned 5. And now we have vegan cupcakes and pizza and cake and all sorts of stuff all the time. And it's not necessarily health foods, but it's better than eating the decomposing flesh and secretions of animals. So, yeah.
Yeah, you don't miss out on anything. I love how you're emphasizing that it really was your own choice, even though you
Yeah.
made it at such a young age, that it was because of being presented with information and the truth, that your mom was honest with you. And then, so maybe that's our recommendation. Of course, you approach kids at their level, but at the same time, it's a dishonor to them and not fair to them not to be honest about the fact that what they're eating is an animal or came from an animal or exploited animals, whatever that is, so they can be informed and really make that decision. So you are so outspoken about veganism, and you know, I I always remember hearing you say like you can veganize anything. Like
Yeah.
no, there's no excuse. There's no
Anything,
excuse, and there's so many brands. So
anything
yeah, what do you think are some
anybody
of the
can make.
misconceptions about veganism, and talk about that? Like you can veganize anything. Is that really true?
We have a saying, anything you can make, we can make vegan. It's true. And there's a lot of misconceptions about veganism, like we can't have protein, stuff like that. It's just ridiculous. Or that we're meant to be eating meat when it's quite the opposite. Uh, just to touch on a few of the misconceptions, like I said with protein, all protein comes from plants, and plants draw amino acids from oxygen, soil, water, etc. And through photosynthesis, they synthesize those amino acids into proteins. The only reason that we can find protein in cows, pigs, and chickens, etc., is because they eat the plants, or if animals eat animals that eat plants, or so on and so forth. So all protein does come from plants, and a lot of plants are more rich in protein than meat. You just gotta look into it. Beans, broccoli, a lot of greens are very rich in protein because, again, it's
Yeah,
from photosynthesis.
yeah.
So another
Edamame,
thing,
lima beans, edamame, broccoli,
yeah,
quinoa is full of protein, nutritional yeast, right? That's
yeah. Well, nutritional yeast has B12. A lot of people think
B12.
you can't get B12 as vegans, but we can, and it is good to take some supplements, but even animals, they inject with antibiotics and B12 into them. They literally inject it into them. So it's not natural. B12 comes from like the minerals in the soil. If we didn't wash our plants as good, we'd be getting plenty enough B12, but we try to be
Wash them.
sanitary. Yeah, we just take nutritional yeast, eat stuff with that. It tastes delicious in a lot of dishes, and it's fortified with B12. You can get it fortified with B12. It's amazing. And then another misconception is that we're meant to be eating meat, and there's plenty of ways we can see that that's not true. Carnivores, their jaws only go up and down, but like with us humans, like
Side to side.
herbivores and omnivores and frugivores, our jaws go side to side. And then also, our intestines is another thing. Carnivores and omnivores have shorter intestines, sorry. Much, much shorter intestines, actually. And that's because meat, like animal protein, or not animal protein, animal cells, they don't have the same cell wall. But when we eat plants, we have to have larger intestines, longer intestines that can break down the cell wall so we can get to the nutrients inside of the plants. So that's why we have large intestines, small intestine, like really long intestines, whereas someone like a T Rex may have even shorter intestines than we do. And another thing is we don't have canines like any predators do. Our teeth are made for grinding up and chewing apart plants. So we're most closely related to primates, which are frugivores. We don't learn as much about frugivores in school, but just like herbivores, carnivores, there's frugivores. So that's what we're closest to, which they just eat fruit and some vegetables, but plants is really what they're meant to eat.
Yeah.
What we're meant to eat.
Yeah, absolutely. It's science, folks. It's nature. Yeah. So I'm glad that you know, sort of cleared some of that up, some of the most common, you know, myths and misconceptions about veganism. Someone in the chat also full sort network said, "Where do you get your protein, bro?" But you answered that. And they were, and I think they know. And so what about how do you answer when people say the other common one, plants have feelings?
Plants
You're
have
killing all
feelings.
these plants have
Well,
feelings. What do you say to that? How do you?
so first of all, we know that plants do react to stimuli. So they'll grow towards the sun, for example, or certain sounds may make them react certain ways, or like carnivorous plants, like Venus flytraps, for
These
example, they
flytraps
react to the touch and they have certain sensors. It's really neat, but that doesn't mean that they can think and feel.
that they're
They don't
self-aware.
have any nervous system or nerve pockets or anything of the sort, but they do react to stimuli. So I can see where people could get that confused. And let's say plants did have feelings, right? Well, when we feed an animal plants, they eat way more plants, they excrete a lot of that.
Mhm.
Also, they drink a lot of water and they excrete that, which means that those aren't fit for human consumption. And we get less way food in return than if we just ate the plants. So really, we're using more plants to get less food by eating animals because we have to feed them. They're giant animals, and we try to make them fat really fast by feeding them GMO, like different food, when we could just be growing healthy food in the same places where we're grazing these animals, just be way better.
Yeah,
Seriously.
makes sense.
And on the topic of getting way less food in return, if we were all vegan, there probably wouldn't be world hunger because people could just eat plants and there'd be way more abundance of food.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for mentioning all of that. And Ellen in the chat says, when are you coming back to Colorado?
I don't know yet. Well, I'll have to talk to my mom about that. Colorado's great. Have a lot of fun there.
Well, it's nice that you have fans in Colorado and all kinds of different places. So, you know, we can take some more. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I said Ellen's great, but we know a lot of great people in Colorado, all over too. But yeah.
We are open to some more questions. If I missed your question, please, folks, go ahead and put it in there again. If you have a question for Vegan Evan, and we will try to get to your questions. Evan, I'm so pleased that you were mentioning so many documentaries because I know for you, for me, for so many of us, documentaries were so instrumental in giving us that in our face kind of nudge that we need. So for folks in the chat, mention if a documentary was pivotal for you in your vegan journey, please feel free to share that in the chat. Are there any other documentaries that we haven't mentioned
Um.
that you want to
Well,
highlight? spotlight?
I feel like it's important for people to see what's happening to these animals, and it's disgusting, but if it's not good enough for your eyes, then how is it good enough for your mouth or your stomach, right? So if people can handle more gory footage, I'd say Dominion and Earthlings are both good things to watch because you need to know. I mean, really, you need to know what's happening. And I feel like seeing that stuff, it is sad, but it's more empowering for me to know what I'm fighting for.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So folks, share those documentaries in the chat. And as hard as it is to see, it's still secondary trauma. The animals are the ones going through it directly. And if we know the more we know, the more we can help. So that's what it is, to sort of lean into it a little bit, even though it's hard to see. But there are documentaries that don't have all that, gory graphic, like You Are What You Eat. Go ahead. Do you have one?
Seaspiracy is another really good one.
Cowspiracy,
Cowspiracy, but Seaspiracy as well.
Seaspiracy. Yeah. And they're
Yeah.
coming out with Christspiracy now, next. The
Forks
same.
Over Knives is good. What the Hell, Game
Mhm.
Changer, Seaspiracy, Cowspiracy. Christspiracy is coming out soon. And I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that my name's going to be in the credits, so that's exciting.
Which one?
In Christspiracy.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. We're going to have to watch it for that alone. Right. And were
Yeah,
you part of a prayer for compassion also, or you were just at
I think I may or may not be in like one scene, but I was at the world premiere.
nice.
Yeah.
So Yuri is with us. Hey, Yuri, one of our AAM mentors in the chat. He says, Evan, of all the lives you saved doing rescues, was there one you remember that had the most impact on you, one that affected you, changing the way you feel or think about animals? Or are
I
there
don't
any
know.
animals currently that you know by name that you love to go and visit that mean a lot to you as well?
Hmm. I mean, I don't know if they necessarily changed the way I thought about animals because I've always known that they did have their own personalities and viewed them just as a different type of animal. Us as humans, we're mammals, and even though they don't speak our same language or might not look the same, they might be different shapes and sizes. There's humans that are different shapes and sizes and speak different languages. That doesn't mean that we should be killing them, just even if they're less intelligent. So I don't know if it's really changed the way I think about animals, but it has been great being able to help animals every time that we do a rescue or get a call to help an animal or we see something online. It's great to be able to meet these animals, to make sure they know that they're safe, even if they're just an animal like a tortoise or someone we see hit on the side of the road. It's always great to be able to comfort these animals and make sure they're okay.
Yeah.
And it's also fun to name them. I've named lots of animals we've
Yeah, I
rescued.
love naming animals.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so joyful meeting them face to face and getting to know them as actual real individuals. And so we do want to remind people, like, when you see an animal out there on the road anywhere, don't say to yourself, oh, someone else will help or they're okay, without checking that. Like, don't leave it to someone else. Be that
Yeah.
person who
If
goes and
everyone
checks
leaves it
on
to
that
someone
animal, make
else,
sure they're okay.
if everyone leaves it to someone else, no one's going to end up doing it.
Nothing, right? Nothing will happen. Exactly, exactly. So someone is asking about your mom. Your mom, CD Activism is asking, is your mom proud of your activism? So do you want to give a shout out to your mom and talk about how
Um,
she has influenced you and what's it like to kind of grow up around activism?
well, hold on. Let me call my mom in here real quick. Mom!
Shorty says she doesn't want to be on camera.
Well,
She's your
anyways,
audience.
I don't know where she is right now. I think that my mom's proud of me. Um, I mean, really though, even if my mom wasn't proud of me and she didn't like what I was doing, I'm still happy I'm doing it. But
Hmm.
I feel like my grandma helped a lot. She always told my mom about how animals had feelings. She'd tell my mom she was upset about having to even kill a tick, but
Yeah.
she instilled a lot of compassion and empathy into my mom, and I feel like she did for me too, and so did my mom. So just I feel like it is important growing up understanding that animals are living, breathing beings with emotions and that can feel pain is important for people to know.
Yeah.
And it's great that I've gotten to grow up in a family where it's common knowledge.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess there's different theories, but I say we're all born with compassion and that's taught out
Yeah.
of us or we lose it. Right. So really veganism is akin to reawakening that compassion and living in alignment with that compassion across the board without exceptions, not contributing to cruelty in any way, shape, or form. So do we have any other questions? Um,
Mhm.
let's see. Okay, so you want to see this before?
What are more comments?
Yeah, so any other questions that I know that Yogi Sin asked if you've done your laughter yoga lately
Uh,
or how that's going.
uh, it's going well. It's just
We're born
Yogi.
again.
Yogi's always going on about the laughing yoga.
Hmm.
Just gotta laugh sometimes.
Yep, just gotta laugh. It is therapeutic. It is
Yeah.
good for us, mind, body, and soul. That is for sure. So what's your favorite vegan meal, Ev? Is it mangoes, by the way? I don't know why I asked that.
Mangoes are my favorite vegan fruit.
Is your favorite vegan fruit as opposed to non-vegan fruits?
Yeah. Cashew cheese quesadillas are probably one of my top favorites, but I really like sesame tofu that my mom's been making lately. So good. So good. We brought it to
Do
a
you cook
potluck.
a lot in your house? Do you cook?
Yeah, we
Or is
we
it
cook.
mostly your mom? You do cook too
I
also?
help. I help. I haven't helped quite as much lately, but I do help with the cooking. My mom normally does it though. Yeah, cashew cheese quesadillas, sesame tofu, cauliflower alfredo, uh, vegan clam linguine with artichoke. There, a lot of really good stuff that my mom makes. It's difficult to choose just one.
Yeah, you
I
don't
feel
have
like
to.
I feel like I've had lots and lots of good vegan food from lots and lots of good vegan restaurants and restaurants that are vegan friendly as well. But I have to say my favorite food is probably food my mom makes. It's so good.
Oh, oh, well, then you guys should open a vegan restaurant. I mean, with all your spare time. Yeah. I-
Spare time.
Ha ha, very funny,
I
right?
wish I had some spare time.
I'd like to have some spare time. There is no such thing. CDA Activism asks, what's your favorite form of activism? Or is
My
there one you
favorite
haven't mentioned so far that you could
um
enlighten people?
well, there's all different types of activism and everyone's reached in different ways. So we try to do as much of every type of activism that we can, pardon me. There's protests, disruptions, vigils. There's all sorts of stuff. There's just you can show people animals if you see a truck documenting that you can. I mean, there's all sorts of ways. Cubes, just marches. There's all sorts of different ways. But I'd say my favorite is definitely disruptions because you really get that adrenaline. It's a lot of fun, and you're helping the animals.
Disruptions. Did you want to explain what a disruption is? I think.
Um, sure. So a disruption, it's like we have signs, maybe some megaphones. We go into somewhere like a restaurant or a store, and we tell them that we come with a message of peace, compassion, nonviolence towards all. We explain why we're there. We do some chants, just walk around wherever it is, and we just cause a scene in a way, but it draws attention, it gets people thinking, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, by the very name of it, disruption, it means we want to disrupt the business. We're not looking
Yeah,
to ruin somebody's business or somebody's livelihood, but we are looking to shake things up to get
yeah, just
to where, just asking nicely or saying please stop selling fur doesn't tend to work very well.
yeah.
Yeah. So any
Yeah,
other
we're not,
questions? Go ahead.
I just want to say, like, when we disrupt places like LVMH to get them to drop fur, a lot of people come up and they're like, well, you're really not like talking to the people, but like a lot of the time it's not even our goal to try to please people. It's our goal to
Right.
annoy the company that we're there for, to try to get them to do what we want, basically.
We're trying to get the attention of corporate to see that this is what happens if you don't sort of address our concerns seriously. And it works, right? Disruptions work. I mean, all forms of activism, they work. Sometimes they don't. It takes a while. It's a marathon, not a sprint, in terms of gaining animal liberation. But disruptions like tend to be within a strategic
Yeah.
campaign work best, right? What do you think?
I yes, I agree with you, but I just wanted to say someone in the
Mm.
comments says, by the way, God told us we can eat meat. So yeah, but really, if we want to try to be in what the image that God wants us to be in, and we want to do what's best, what God wants, in the Garden of Eden, obviously everyone knows we just ate fruit basically. I mean, we everyone was peaceful. We didn't eat any animals. In Genesis 1:29 1:30, God says, "And behold, I have given you every seed-bearing fruit and every fruit-bearing plant, and for you to take of that as meat." And he also says, "And to all the creatures of the that crawl upon the earth, and to all the fowls of the air, and all the beasts, and all the fish in the sea, to take of plants as food." And even if they're not doing that, we still, if we want to be the best that we can for God,
Mhm.
then got to be vegan. I mean, realistically, we don't want to hurt God's creation, other sentient beings.
Yeah.
What would Jesus do, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe, yeah. Kindness can be our spiritual path. Kindness can be our religion overall. Now, your mom, Vegan Shannon, is saying she's curious if you've been able to talk about veganism with your
Oh,
friends
that's
or
not my mom.
classmates.
That's a different Shannon.
Oh, that's a different Shannon. Oh, sorry.
All right, back to the question.
Yeah, how do you feel about, the your generation and the next generation? And maybe the big question is, when do you think we'll bring out your crystal ball? When are we going to see a vegan world? What do you think?
Um, I mean,
I'm
there's
just
really
kidding.
no telling when, right? But I feel like when I talk to my friends and my classmates about veganism, it seems like more and more they know already what veganism is. Like, even if I'm making new friends, it seems like the further on that we go and we progress into world veganism, more and more people know, right? So
Mhm.
going places, and I feel like at this rate, it really shouldn't take that long for more people to go vegan. And I feel like once about 10% of people are vegan, just like everything else, it's just gonna tip and everyone, it's gonna be like a trendy thing even. Me personally, I don't care why people go vegan as much. I think I do because then if they go vegan for the animals, it's more likely they become activists. But even if they're just doing it for their personal health or because they think it's cool, that's how many less animals that are suffering, right? So I feel like it's eventually going to get to a point where it's just it tips the scales, just like phones or whatever, or TVs. For a while, barely anyone had them, and it went on, and more people slowly got them, and then eventually, like 10% of people had them, and then the next few years, everyone had them. It was like a household just staple. So
Yeah,
it shouldn't take too long.
I like that view. I like that view very, very much. And I know that it's kind of like smoking, right? In some ways, like everybody started out thinking smoking was okay, it was healthy, you should keep smoking. And now people still smoke and they still start smoking, but it's not as widely accepted. A heck of a lot less people start smoking and keep smoking, and everybody knows, it's just sort of normalized, So
Well,
that's where, or is that a bad
here's the thing
comparison?
though with smoking is I do see a lot of similarities to where you are harming yourself, but unless there's like secondhand smoke, you're really only hurting yourself. And when you sit down and you make a choice 3 times a day that you want to eat another living being, it's really not a personal choice, in my opinion. It's like, that's like saying it's a school shooter's personal choice. I mean, they're harming innocent people, the most innocent people in the case of people eating animals. And there's really no right way to do it. So, in my opinion, it's not as much of a personal choice as smoking cigarettes where you're only hurting yourself. But I do see what you're saying, and I agree.
Yeah. Well, even in society's view, how now smoking is sort of not,
Yes,
it was once thought of as like
smoking and
elitist or like it was, it
doctors.
was
There'd be
sexy. It
doctors
was, but
saying
now
they
it's
would
like,
they would
yeah,
smoke Camel or whatever on the commercials,
right. Nothing
and
that eating
everyone
meat will
said
do
it.
the same.
Everyone said it was so healthy.
Right.
There'd be like basically the equivalent of Got Milk commercials, and it seems the same way in society. I agree.
Yeah. So now your mom, Shannon, is saying your sister's watching you and you're the best big brother. Do you want to say anything about the littlest vegan now and what your
Um,
hopes are for her?
well, Sage, her name's Sage Justice. She's the best. She's been vegan since conception, and I think now she's like 19 months old. And it was funny earlier. She picked up a pamphlet and she went outside and she asked me to open the door for her. And I walked out to the end of the driveway with her. And she started yelling, "Shame on you!" and holding up the
Oh
flyer.
my gosh, where'd she get that from?
And I don't know.
I don't know. She's doing some outreach. She's out there disrupting and
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. She she did that with a sign yesterday. Did that with a pamphlet today. She's always trying to stick up for the animals. And even we tell her, we don't hide the truth from her. We tell her that people hurt the animals, they eat the animals, and she goes, "Oh, so sad. Chickies or piggies or whatever." And she understands that the animals want to live too and that people are eating them, but she's the best little activist, and she's so cute, and she tells people to go vegan all the time. We just got megaphones, and she was on there, and she was going, "Go vegan now!" The best.
And she's only getting started, right? She's just
Yeah.
gearing up. So
We got 2 questions saying,
yes,
"What do I want to do as a career or job when I grow up?"
yeah.
Sure, I'll take my activism into whatever I do. So I feel like so there's still a possibility I would want to run for president in
I was going to say when
2048.
we first met, that was what you were saying. You were going to run for president.
Run for president in 2048, but not 100% sure about that.
Right.
I'd at least want to at least speak on the ballot often and try to help with it, but I don't know if I'd want to be president because that would take up a lot of time and it'd be very nerve-wracking, right? Because you have the whole fate of like your country in your hands. So that might be kind of scary, but Um, huh. I don't really know a specific career I would like to take up. I definitely want to be a pilot, but I don't want to fly commercially. I just want to be able to fly and possibly have my own plane. I think I definitely want to learn how to invest. So that way, whatever job I have, hopefully won't take too long, and maybe I can just invest. That way I have a lot of free time and I can speak up for the animals quite often.
Mm. Well, it'll be interesting to see what
Yeah.
path you do take. There are so many options. If there's a way to marry all your skills and talents with your commitment to fighting for animals would be amazing. So Forever Avocado is asking, what do you like to do for fun? What do you do in your free time or any hobbies?
Hmm. I feel like a lot of the time when we're not doing stuff, I mean, I play video games and I play outside with other kids in the neighborhood or whatever, but like playing with my sister and driving around on her little bike and I mean just normal kid stuff because I am a kid, but also help animals. So it's hmm, I don't know. I guess I just do generic stuff for fun.
That's what we would imagine, just the usual stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. But people are curious about you. So
Huh.
that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
We like it. We like you. We like you. Yeah. So any other questions? I mean, we'll keep going for a bit more, but we'll wrap up in a little bit. And so you have met a bunch of what we would call vegan icons, like really well-known activists, I should say, vegan activists,
But yeah.
or sort of on the leading edge of influencing people and spreading the message, like Earthling Ed and Joey Carbstrong and Joaquin Phoenix and Moby. Do you want to say anything about those moments and what that has meant to you or brought to you?
I feel like a lot of the more known vegan activists, I mean, they're really awesome and they're reaching so many people. And I think it's amazing. But I think it's important for people to remember that they're doing all this stuff, but they're still just people. And really, anyone can make just as big of a difference if they really put their effort into it and like put their mind towards it. And you can do anything. You can help so many animals. You just need to find what works for you and do it. You can do. I know one thing that's really popular that, for example, Earthling Ed does is sets up a table and has people come up to him. There might be some people that are just being trolls, just joking with him or whatever, trying to waste his time. But it's still important to film that and to post that so people can see all these arguments debunked, for example. So I think that they have some really cool tactics about what they do, but I feel like anybody can do it if they really try, and that's important to remember.
That's so important, Ev. I mean, you're right. Not everybody's comfortable on camera or wants to have a million people following them, and put themselves out there that way. But we can all, as
Yeah.
activists, do something, find your niche or find what you're best at and
Yeah.
just do it. Just get active. The only difference between us and Earthling Ed is he had the chutzpah and the confidence to just get started, and go from there and just keep improving.
Yeah.
Right? That makes sense. And so I like that. These are people certainly we admire, but we all have these latent characteristics within us that we can really build on. Um, and when your why is strong, when you're doing it for the animals, FTA, you just want to, you want to do whatever you can. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Excellent.
Well,
Well, do you want to, we'll wrap up in a minute. Do you want to mention the convergence though? Anything you want to say about that? That there's
well,
going to
I know
be,
that there's an awesome 2 week convergence coming up that's going to be in Florida. And you can go to Solutionary Species on Facebook. I think you can find it there. Here, let me see if I can call my mom and she knows more
Or
about it
she
than I
can, your mom can put it in the chat if she's listening.
do. Ooh. Mom.
Oh, she might have stepped away.
Yeah, who knows? Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Just I guess go to Solutionary Species on Facebook
Mm-hmm.
to learn more. I'm gonna be there for the whole thing, so I'm excited to see everyone.
Yeah. It's the best when we all get together. That really is. That alone, instead of just on the screen together. So, well, Ellen says Evan is a natural when speaking to others. So you get lots of great feedback here, Ev. People really feel
Thanks.
strongly about you. And so, that hopefully that keeps you going. So I guess before we wrap up, do you have any final words? Anything you would like to share? Maybe a message of hope or a message of encouragement or anything?
Um, hmm. But just like I said, you can make a really big difference just doing whatever you're comfortable with. And everyone's reached in a different way. So try different forms of activism. Something might be out of your comfort zone, but just try it and see what you like and stick with it. And I hope to see you on some upcoming tours or whatever. That'd be great. And go vegan if you're not already vegan. And if you are vegan and you're not an activist, get active. And if you're a vegan activist, great job. So the future is vegan. See everybody soon.
Nice. Thank you. Everybody hang on for a minute. Thank you so much, Evan. I want to announce then our next program, which is Effective Activism with Dr. Faraz on March 12th. And no, that's February something, something. I don't even know. March 12th is Animal Activism in the Law with attorney Dara Lovitz. Please check out our previous workshops here on our YouTube channel, and please subscribe and share, and also follow us on social media. Please consider becoming a patron by finding AAM on Patreon. Your donations allow AAM to continue to provide free educational resources for activists, which ultimately saves more animals. And that wraps up another AAM workshop. Thank you, Evan, for your time and wisdom.
Thank you for having me join you. Happy that we got to do this and answer some questions.
Me too. To be continued, right? I know
Yeah.
that we'll talk again. Thank you to everyone for all the wonderful work that you're all doing with the animals. Again, if you're interested in becoming a mentor or a mentee or want to get involved with AAM, please reach out to us. Check out our website, animalactivism.com. And as Ed said, stay strong, everyone. Live vegan.
Whew.
Woo!
All
Thank you.
right. Bye.
Bye. Cheers. Bye.